What if, like me, you live in a very cold place where the winters are freezing, you have the snow and the frost to deal with, and yet you want to grow heat loving vegetables like the tomatoes in winter? It's very simple. You grow them under cover, you grow them in a greenhouse. But what if you do not have the space or the resources to build a greenhouse? Then either you wait until spring when the temperatures become a little warmer for you to grow these heat loving vegetables, or you grow these heat loving vegetables in makeshift greenhouse spaces such as this. Now, this is essentially a courtyard which I have converted into a makeshift greenhouse. All that I did was I covered the space with polycarbonate sheets on all sides, all three sides, and then I have a roof like this also with polycarbonate. Now the roof has to be corrugated because we have a lot of monkey infestation in Shimla and they can break through any polycarbonate sheet if it is not corrugated. Corrugated sheets will give a bit of strength to the polycarbonate that you have on the roof. Now otherwise on the sides you can have polycarbonate like this, which will keep the wind away and any sun which is coming in our case over here we have only the overhead sun coming in because unfortunately we are not south facing, but we are making do with what we have. So this is, like I said, it's a makeshift greenhouse for us. So here in the bustling Shimla town we have a cafe called Cafe Khoblu, where we require a lot of produce on a day-to-day basis. Our vegetables that we grow in Ratnari in the MeenaBagh farm are 74 kilometers away, so it's convenient for us to have ready vegetables for the cafe so that our chefs can come and pick the lettuces, pick the bok choy and pick these cherry tomatoes whenever they need them, rather than wait for the supplies to come from the MeenaBagh farms in Ratnari. Now this is the middle of January, the height of winter really, and it snowed a couple of days ago. It can snow anytime now. The temperatures are freezing in the night time. And what do we have growing in this makeshift courtyard that we have converted into a greenhouse space? Starting from here, you can see that we have already harvested the icebergs, and in its stead we have the garlic shooting up. Now the garlic was planted a couple of months ago and they have a long gestation period, which means that I'll be harvesting the garlic in maybe May or June of this year. Climbing next to it over here from the nether bed are the cherry tomatoes. Now this one is ready to harvest. This one is ready to harvest as well, and some of these growing in clusters will be ready in a couple of weeks perhaps. And then we have on the bottom bed over here the bok choy. Now the bok choy again is a heat loving plant just like the cherry tomatoes, and they are doing okay because they are undercover and they get the kind of warmth which is trapped over here. Also getting the protection of this makeshift greenhouse is the lavender. What do we have over here? This is a lemon plant. Now the lemon plant, as we can see over here, is slightly covered with these dangling ornamental plants which are covering it a bit. I'm going to uncover it because the lemon plant tends to flower and fruit in winter. Now it can only happen if the lemon plant in our part of the world is kept under cover. I can already see the flowers set in some of them. Now this one over here has already set into a small little tiny little lemon, and these ones were the flowers which might have set as well. We'll know in any case in a couple of days. So this has to be undercover because lemon plant can only survive in our part of the world because it's under the cover. It's a tropical plant, remember. So we are keeping it indoors, keeping it safe, keeping it warm under this makeshift greenhouse that we have on the courtyard here. How are these heat-loving plants, the tropical plants, the lemons, the cherry tomatoes and the bok choy surviving in the kind of cold climate that we have in our part of the world? It's simple, that this space that we have provided, which is basically covered on all three sides with polycarbonate sheets, is trapping all the heat. That heat is being used by these heat-loving plants to grow, to germinate, flower, and eventually fruit. Now we also have some plants growing outside this makeshift greenhouse that we have over here, which obviously do not require the heat. This is the parsley. Now there was snow on top of the parsley a couple of days ago, and we discovered that this is a very cold hardy plant. No problem at all with the snow. No problem whatsoever with the cold. Also for the chamomile. I am right next to my bok choy plant, and to my delight, they are ready to harvest. I am going to take out some of the leaves and pass it on to my chef in Cafe Khoblu so that he can prepare a thupka for me using these very green, very fresh, very healthy looking bok choy leaves in the soup. Now I am harvesting the lettuce which was growing over here indoors in this makeshift greenhouse, but it needn't have been growing over here. I could have grown it outside, except that we have also a monkey menace in Shimla, where this enclosed structure gives complete protection to whatever we grow inside. Now some of the cherry tomatoes, as you can see, are ready to harvest. This one certainly can be harvested right away, and these neighbors will take a couple of more days, perhaps weeks, to ripen. One over here is ready as well. Here's a small basket of vegetables that I harvested during the course of shooting this video. It has the bok choy, it has the lettuce, and it has the cherry tomatoes. All headed towards Cafe Khoblu, where I hope the chefs can do something wonderful with them. Now I'm back at the MeenaBagh farm, and over here as well we do not have any kind of greenhouse, but we like to grow a lot of things in the winter months, in the cold freezing winter months. How do we do that over here in the farm? In the farm we have a spare bathroom that we have annexed into a makeshift greenhouse. So this is the spare bathroom that we have annexed into a makeshift greenhouse over here. So any window sill can do if you do not have a greenhouse. So this large window with this very large glass lets in a lot of sunlight throughout the day. On these plants, there's no air coming in, and these plants are thriving over here. They are able to survive over here only because they are protected from the cold, and they have this kind of a very warm temperature being created. Now let's see what we have growing over here. These are the succulents, our favorite succulents in MeenaBagh Farms that we like to propagate, and these are being encouraged to grow and thrive over here in this makeshift place that we have. And these are the calendulas that we sowed a couple of weeks ago, and look how they are thriving. And any day now we shall be transplanting them out. These are the ones that we grew in pots over here, and if we compare them to the calendulas which are growing outside in the cold, these one obviously have had a better chance at thriving, and they are much bigger than the ones that we have outside. And growing in these pots are our blackberries. Now these blackberries are propagated blackberries. These were propagated via the tip layering method, and they're going to remain here until the temperatures outside become more favorable. So when you have these greenhouse spaces, you don't really need to worry about the cold winter months. You can sow any time of the year. Okay. Come on, Bisma. Move aside a bit. So these seed trays are going to go into a makeshift greenhouse, which is actually the bathroom. So on the ground floor over here, we have this spare room with a spare bathroom. I'm going to put these over here for now, make room for them, and they should thrive here with the rest of the plants. And flowering over here inside this protected space, this sunroom, we have the tropical plant, the citrus plant, the lemon tree. Now this lemon tree has been growing over here and thriving over here only because it's protected in this glass house or the sunroom that we have here. And it's a special tree because it was planted by one of our guests, the celebrated veteran actress Miss Dipti Naval, when she stayed with us at MeenaBagh a couple of months ago. But this tree over here is not doing very well. As you can see, there are no flowers on it. This was planted by another veteran actor, Mr. Amol Palekar. And finally, we also use the observatory. Now, the observatory here also has glass on three sides. It obviously houses these telescopes that we have. And by the way, we have a wonderful sky, broader scale too. If you are interested in astronomy, you are more than welcome. So this is where we keep our seed trays because the observatory traps a lot of heat and is excellent for seed germination. So all this possible only if you have makeshift greenhouse spaces such as this. For more such gardening tips and tricks, do consider hitting the subscribe button.